Hello there, world of tankers. Welcome to the channel. I'm, of course, your host, the Droodles, Blitz, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about two tanks in question. Finally, the statistics for the M48A2 Räumpanzer have been released, and we are going to be breaking into what the vehicle is going to be like when it comes into the game if it stays as it is. Of course, these vehicles will enter testing, and when they're in testing, the statistics are probably going to change if they're performing too strong or underperforming. So, these are the current stats of what the vehicle's at. We're going to be breaking into them, and you guys let me know what your personal opinion is on this tank as well on mine. But the first thing we're going to be breaking into is the big buffs done to the 60 TP. Now, personally, as I stated in my first video on this tank, I thought it was actually pretty balanced. It didn't have the most DPM, but to counter that, it had incredible armor. Well, not only did the armor get buffed on the turret, but as well, the DPM and alpha damage went up. That is right. The standard shot damage went from 560 to 600 as well. The DPM, because of that, went up from 2,124 to 2,276. That is 150 more DPM, plus increased alpha, not only on the AP, but as well heat, went from 490 to 530. Plus, the tank now goes 36 kilometers per hour forward instead of 32. So it's not that far off from the E100 with its alpha damage. Not to mention, as I said, the turret armor was buffed on the tank as well. This was the turret armor before and after. This is before and after. You can see how much more red it is on the entire turret compared as well. The roof is thicker. Yeah, basically the whole tank got a revamp on the armor. And I can show you that right here. This entire bar used to be a very easy penetration. As well, the mantlet was actually penetrable. But after the latest update, even using heat shells, you can see with calibrated on, the E100 cannot penetrate this turret very easily. Sure, there's weak spots here and there, but if this thing's hull down, that's going to be a really tricky target to hit, especially judging that the tank aiming at you has 600 damage per shot, which is going to make it a really formidable opponent. Now, don't get me wrong, it still has weak spots. The upper plate can be a weak spot if you shoot at this little thing here, and heat shells can pen it as long as it's not fully hull down. You got a big lower plate, and as well, you got a cupola. But for the most part, this thing's armor is way better than an E100. Like, look at the armor comparison here. I'm literally speechless. This is the E100's turret, like, penable, even fully angled. And then you look at the 60 TP. Sure, it has weak spots, but this tank is basically just a better E100 now. It's got more mobility, goes faster by 6 kilometers per hour. It's only got 40 less damage per shot, only 100 less DPM, and basically everything else is better. The gun depression is the same at 7 degrees, and the armor is literally 10 times better. The E100's lower plate is literally bigger than the entire hull of the 60 TP. So, yeah, I really don't know what to say. I thought the current, or the previously pre-buff state of the 60 TP was pretty balanced, but now, oh, I don't know. We're going to see what it's like when it releases, but mark my words, I have a feeling Wargaming will be nerfing this vehicle either if it releases like this in actual game, or pre-release, should I say, while it's still in testing. But now, we're going to break into the Räumpanzer, a tank that I actually really wanted to talk about, and when I first made my original video on it, the statistics were not out, but now we do have the stats, and it actually looks really cool. It's got a big chunk of hit points at 1,450, but I'd expect that. It's got a frickin' plow. Not to mention, it has incredible damage per minute, 2,505, making it the highest DPM for a tier 8 medium in the game, which is good. You know, the other ones that are super high are vehicles like the T95E2. I think they're sitting at around 2,490 DPM or something like that, so they're close. It's not, you know, a ridiculous amount of DPM, but it is quite high for a tier 8 medium. The penetration on the standard is nice at 210. Any medium over 200, in my opinion, is already plenty. And the premium on this tank at 260 is going to butter through armor with no problems whatsoever. As well, it's got some decent HE shells, 45 penetration, and 270 damage per shot, which is quite a bit more than the 225 base that the vehicle carries. Now, it's not bad on the shell dispersion values. It's okay. It's 0.326, which means that you're about the same accuracy as, like, German heavy tanks at, like, tier 8 and 9, so it's not an incredibly accurate vehicle, but it's also not, you know, it's not bad. You'll be able to hit your shells from a decent distance, and judging that this is a hull-down vehicle, you should be fine. As well, it's got a 1.63 second aiming time, making it very quick on that, but To counter that, again, it's got bad on movement dispersion. So it's interesting. It's got really bad on movement dispersion values when turning the tank and moving the vehicle itself. But when rotating the turret, it's very accurate. So if you want to be more accurate with this tank, don't move, sit still. But the issue with that is then people are going to aim in on your weak spots, which do become very abundant if you're actually able to aim in on the tank. Yeah, it's very weird on the balancing factors. 9 degrees of gun depression is very nice, just like the Pattons, because of course this is based off of a Patton, and it weighs 60 tons. That is now 4 more than the Chimera, which was the heaviest tank in Tier 8 for a medium. Yeah, this thing, it carries a plow, and it weighs 60 tons. Oh, I cannot wait to smash into some light tanks, maybe like the AMX series. Oh, it's going to feel so good. It goes 42 forwards and 18 in reverse. The reverse speed, it's not bad, but the forward speed, oh boy, that's not fast. That's like super Pershing levels there. And as well, it's got a pretty poor power to weight of 19.94. That's about the same power to weight ratio as an IS-7. Yeah, not good there. Traverse speed, it's basically worst in class at 40 degrees a second. Honestly, I think the only tanks that are slower than this would be like the Super Pershing. That's it. It's slow. It's not a fast medium. And as well, the camouflage is awful. So it does have big balancing factors. Sure, the gun's going to pump out damage, but getting in the position compared to a vehicle like the Progettos or, you know, even the Skoda T27, it's just so much slower. And, well, we're going to break into the armor now. Actually, we're not going to look at the armor there. We're going to look at the armor and armor inspector because, in my opinion, it's way, way better. So let's go over to medium. It's a German medium, of course. And let's go get out, well, let's do the Progetto. As I said, it's a really strong Tier 8 medium. There it is, the Mod 46. So let's see just exactly what we're looking at here. So the hull, it's actually meh. It's 150 base in the front. That plow, while it's okay, it's only, maybe they didn't even put the plow armor on yet. What does Armor Inspector say for the plow? Let's take a look. Maybe it's thicker here, or it's exactly the same. No, it's about the same. So yeah, the plow, it's not going to have that much protection. It's only about 150 millimeters thick right on the front. You're not going to get many bounces. Now, hull down, you actually might. You know, you're going to get some good bounces on that upper plate. Plus, because the plow's there, it will distract a lot of ammunition because you won't know where to actually aim because you might not be able to see through it. Plus, again, heat shells cannot cut through spaced armor. And that's a really far spacing at that. So heat shells are not going to get through this upper plate, meaning that vehicles like the T49 will not be able to get through the frontal armor. The turret is also very strong, 270 millimeters thick there, but what I find interesting is normally where the Pattons actually have this part as the weak spot, on this tank it's actually stronger, and it's the outer bar, which is interesting to me. So it's got that outer bar here and here, and then of course the big blaring weak spot, the cupola, only 90 millimeters thick at the edges and 104 on the front. I don't think it's going to be very easy to hit with high explosive shells unless you're in like a Centurion 7-1. I wouldn't suggest it because it's only 90 on the bottom part, and that's a really hard hit unless it's sitting still. But you never know. You might be able to get it off. Side armor, it's quite poor. It's only about 100 millimeters thick. But thankfully, because it is that angled hull, just like the Patton, you can actually get some pretty solid bounces there. But the rear has that big old butt that sticks out. Of course, that is a big disadvantage because when you're turning your turret behind, you have 0 degrees of gun depression. But overall, I think the tank looks pretty fun. Oh, wow, that's really bad. 28 millimeters on the rear. Oh, my God. But overall, I think the tank looks good. I think it actually looks very balanced currently. It's got a great gun. You know, it's got super high DPM, but to counter that, it's got just dog water for accuracy. Not to mention the vehicle has the worst mobility basically for a Tier 8 medium. So, in my opinion, I think that these stats you see here are what it's going to be released with. Now, it could get a speed buff. You never know. Let me know what you guys think about the vehicle in the comments down below if you agree with my opinion or you disagree. But other than that, hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and if you'd like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. Stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.